Messi gets a baller blocked on Wednesday. Snoop Dogg to have a new Swan song, and NISA is back again. That and more on Friday's morning kick around. Hello and good morning and welcome to the show. This is Morning Kick Around, where we cover the world's favorite game from the world's favoriteest country. My name's Robert Kerr, joined by not Jason Davis, as he is still on radio detail today, but the wonderful Mitch Gatsky. How you doing, sir?
I'm great, Rob. Thanks for the invite back. I must have done all right on Wednesday. Glad to be here again.
You got the second call, and thank you for being available. We got an interesting show today. Definitely a lot of stuff in the morning kick around niche. A lot of American soccer being weird. Checking in on some developing markets and stadiums across the United States. And be sure to check out our interview with the CEO of the brand new iteration of the Cosmos. Some interesting tidbits in there on the third rebirth of the Cosmos there. If you're watching this now and you haven't hit subscribe yet, what you waiting for? Do so now. Doesn't cost you a thing. You don't get spammed, nothing like that. And you support this show. I did not look at the numbers this morning, but we are on our way to 3,000 subscribers. So thank you for everyone who's already hit that button. If you want to take your support up a notch, membership's the way to go. $3.99 a month. You become an MK Ultra. You get priority commenting on these live streams. You get access to the Morning Kick Around Discord server. And I know there's a couple people out there that need that link to join that conversation. Great threads in there from local all the way up to the global game, getting every level of the game here in the United States and the broader conversation covered there in the Morning Kick Around Discord server. And in addition, you get bonus perks like I said, priority commenting, Discord server, access to videos, and some bonus content. Outside of that, coffee.com/morningkickaround, where you can donate to some specific fundraiser goals, including an on-site in-person episode. So there's a fundraiser to do all that. You can also follow us on social media at mkickaround on Instagram, X, and Blue Sky, or you can write an email to us at morningkickaround@gmail.com. And don't forget podcasts. We're a podcast, Mitch. Did you know that? Search for Morning Kick Around on your favorite podcast platform.
Yeah, so people can watch the show live and then go back and listen to it again on podcast.
Yeah, and I didn't know it until very recently, but you can watch us as like a video on Spotify as well. So there you go. But you ready to do some segments, sir?
Yes, sir. Let's get it rolling.
All right. We're going to head right into our long balls here on Friday, July 18th. Long balls here on Morning Kick Around. It is Friday, July 18th. Happy Friday to everybody. Getting the show started with long ball number one during the midweek. One Leo Messi, the greatest of all time. He finally was kept off the score sheet. He had scored in 6 straight MLS games. He scored 22 and 28. He scored in every game so far since returning from the Club World Cup, but he was stymied by Cincinnati as Inter Miami went down 3-0. What'd you make of that game? Was Messi slipping, or was Cincinnati just that good?
I think Cincinnati was just that good. They had a cohesive plan, and they brought a press that Miami really couldn't handle. There was an injury to their keeper early on, 25th minute, but even so, the defenders there just really... we talked about it the other day, Rob. I think it was a matter of Miami is so used to playing with the ball. They weren't ready to quickly transition to defense when Cincinnati did win the ball away. And they just presented some different problems that I think Miami is really just not used to facing. Messi saw very little of the ball. First 35 minutes, Miami didn't get a shot on net, shot at all, really. And Cincinnati just kind of choked the life out of that game. They scored early on. They scored just a couple minutes into the second half, really ran away with it. And yeah, Messi, there were a couple long balls to Messi where he kind of got on the end of it, but there was nobody up with him. Suarez was doing what Suarez does. And yeah, just not a whole lot of attacking options for Miami. I think they were. You asked me, did they look old? I wouldn't say that, but I think they do like to control the game, play with possession, and when you kind of force them outside of their comfort zone, they don't necessarily have that game plan B that they can switch over to. It's kind of like, if plan A doesn't work, they're scrambling to figure things out, and they just couldn't in Cincinnati on Wednesday night.
For context, Wednesday ended a streak that went back to the end of May. He started this current scoring streak. He scored against Philadelphia May 24th, then again twice and an assist at the end on the 28th against Montreal. 2 goals, 2 assists on the 31st against Columbus. Then he went away to international duty, then to the Club World Cup, where he netted. He didn't actually. He found just the 1 goal, that triumphant winner against Porto, which was probably the banner moment for Inter Miami at the Club World Cup. But since coming back from the Club World Cup back into MLS play, a brace against Montreal, a brace against New England, a brace against Nashville on the 12th, and then stopped in his tracks on Wednesday against Cincinnati. Inter Miami get back into action at the weekend against Red Bull, but they will be joined by their new signing of Rodrigo Depal. We talked about this a little bit. Depal, another player over the age of 30, joining the Messi project down in South Florida. And I wasn't super familiar with him on the club side. He just seemed like one of the guys that was in that Argentina mix that's been so successful. And that's a theme of the team in pink down in Florida is getting the old gang back together.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's an interesting social experiment, if you will, to have all these guys who are on the tail end of their career. And MLS is different than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but we're still kind of seeing it's the place where those guys who have already made their name come to kind of make their money. And the experience that Miami has had can't be ignored, but you're getting into that territory where you got to strike that balance right between those veteran guys who have been there, done that. They're just looking to kind of clean up on the back end of their playing career, and then those hungrier younger players getting that mix right, being able to press those buttons and figuring out how to unlock defenses at this level. It's obviously something that they've been able to do more times than not, but I brought up the question to you when we were chatting about it yesterday. Are they flat track bullies? Is it a case where, yeah, they're going to take care of the teams that are at the lower levels of MLS, but then when they come against those more competitive teams, Cincinnati being one of them, I think we kind of saw a game plan that works against Miami. Again, you got to press them in a way that they're not used to being pressed. I think they get so much respect out of, hey, these guys have been there. They've done it. We kind of know the danger that they present. But if you can flip the script on them, again, I don't think they necessarily have the ways to get around defenses. And I think Cincinnati might have laid down a game plan that others can copy. So we'll see what Depal can bring. They certainly, from what I saw on Wednesday, they need more help in midfield. It was a case where defenders were doing what the defenders could do, shutting down the attacking options that Cincinnati had sometimes. But then when it came to getting that ball up, it was a lot of long balls to Messi, kind of attacking around the wings. Didn't see a lot of Busquets in the middle, kind of administrating things the way that we're used to. So I don't know. Time will tell.
So Depal, mostly a center midfielder, spent some time in the 6 role or to the right. Although he is 31, still a major contributor, played 34 times for Atletico Madrid this last La Liga season. He chips in the odd goal. He peaked at 9 goals back in his Udinese days, but since Atletico Madrid, he's chipped in 3 or 4 goals, but puts a lot of minutes in the midfield. Maybe he is that runner, that energy, that engine that they need to resist that press, because my only in-person view this year was the Inter Miami versus Columbus game, the one that happened in Cleveland Browns Stadium. And Columbus, yeah, to your point, swarmed them, took them out of the game, didn't let them have the ball, but it ended up as a 1-1 draw because Columbus wasted some chances and Miami literally scored on their one and only chance in that game. So I think you're right. Those Ohio teams might just have Miami's number there, but we shall talk more Major League Soccer and the games to look out for in the Fab Four later on, closer to the top of the hour. And chat, we will bring the Fab Four into the mix here in just a few. Get your games that you're looking out for into the mix in the chat, and you can be part of the Fab Four. Get your game that you are squaring away some time to either watch on television or go visit in person for the Fab Four later. But we'll move on to long ball number 2 of the day. News broke this week that the planned expansion team, USL Pro, they don't have a name just yet. That was going to be the big announcement coming out this summer, but it is the fact that they've had to delay the start of Buffalo Pro until 2027. The previous site that they picked, we had the president, Peter Marlette, on this very program talking about the stadium and the venue, and in comments and some issues arose with the stadium. There was a chemical company there that they've had disputes with, and there's some environmental issues, and we did some follow-up with that in the time in the spring, and Marlette said that, it was all good and safe, but kind of a reversal of course on this Buffalo project, which is a little disappointing because Buffalo, they have huge numbers for viewing Premier League, and there seems to be kind of a thing growing there. There seemed to be a lot of anticipation for there to be a team there. Per the local news there, WIVB in Buffalo, the franchise president, Peter Marlette, said the decision for a new stadium site is imminent. Earlier this month, it was announced the previous selected stadium site at Lee Street and Elk Street will not happen due to the dispute with PVS Chemicals, chemical plant next door. And yeah, that's probably a good thing, even though they thought that the site was legit when we followed up on it. If there's like actual chemical and environmental concerns, it's probably good to reconsider, eh?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's bad news. It's a blow, to be sure. When you have to push back a whole year, it's obviously not good news. But I will say kudos to the Buffalo group for making the right decision, right? You don't want to. It's much better for this to come out now and for them to have to delay than them building the stadium. And then once play begins, then it comes out through some investigative reporting like, ooh, this maybe shouldn't have happened. And now we've got a real issue on our hands. What do we do? The stadium's already here, sort of thing. So I think getting out in front of it, acknowledging, hey, this isn't going to work out after all. They've been forthright and upfront in their dealings here. And from that article, it seems like there are plenty of other options. Marlette was clear that he wants to he wants to keep the team within the city limits of Buffalo, which I think is important as well. When you talk about a team or a city that is huge when it comes to sports consumption.
That's
Buffalo
what on
Bills.
screen. That was what was planned on this site. Excuse me.
Sorry, what was that?
I said sorry for interrupting,
Yeah.
but I just put on screen the plans that will not be.
Well, and we'll see, right? Like they can maybe take this very same mock-up and move it somewhere else. Hopefully, again, within the city limits of Buffalo, because I think it is a great sports town. They've proven that with the support that they show the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo Sabres. And you mentioned the consumption of Premier League. it is an emerging market. And if they can get something figured out, I think it would suit them very well to have a club that they can support. That town is just starved for more and more sports. And I think, if it's one of those cases, if you build it, they will come. I'm very confident that Buffalo, however they figure this out, will be a well supported outfit. And yeah, now it's just a matter of finding that right place and getting things situated. Definitely unfortunate that they have to move things back a year, but again, I think it's while it's not the best case scenario, it is certainly better than kind of things getting derailed once the stadium was put together and finished. And then, like I said, if it came out that, hey, we got issues, that's not something you want to have to deal with. So getting out in front of it, kind of pushing this to the side and moving on. Best of luck to Buffalo.
Yeah, the news article pushes on to say that the organization, Buffalo Soccer, is committed to finding the right location for a 10,000 seat modular stadium that could eventually expand to 15,000 seats. While Marlette indicated the Cobblestone District in downtown Buffalo remains under consideration, he remains there are multiple options, but he would like to stay in Buffalo city limits. It had one issue that we couldn't get around, and now we have 12 more months, and the timeline is no longer the major deciding factor in the site we pick. We have a little bit more breathing room, and we're going to use it to make the right choice. So that seems solid and measured if they're willing to sacrifice that year for the right location. And it sounds like these modular spots must be pretty quick to pop up if they can do it in under a year.
Well, that's what I was thinking too when, we're sitting here in July of 25, if I'm not mistaken, and for them to think like, oh, we can just pop this stadium up and boom, we're ready to play in 26, that kind of caught me off guard, but you just read it right there. Like now they have a full 12 more months. They can make the right decision and find something that is fully sustainable and with a clear conscience kind of proceed onwards and upwards. Again, I'm not at all familiar with, the layout of the city of Buffalo and where some of these sites are, whether they might be better fits. I can't really speak to that, but from everything that Marlette is saying, they have no shortage of options with, people from all sorts of different avenues reaching out, saying, hey, what about this? What if we put it here? And now it's just time to kind of get to work and finding that right fit. And I mean, if they can pop up a stadium in 6 months, I don't see why this wouldn't actually kind of, in a way, maybe be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, maybe any sort of like division that was in the public that was already gonna consume this or be a regular or a season ticket holder. Hey, ownership is seriously considering our health and the importance of being safe. Even at the delay, I'm sure the business model has to be reshifted with that. All the best with Buffalo moving forward, and that kind of reminds me, we've been very positive. We had a segment last week about all the teams that are joining USL One next year, and perhaps we should do an update on some teams in some cities that have had some delays. Buffalo is one, and then I think Milwaukee might be another we should check in on next week. We're definitely going to be checking in on some NISA stuff, as we will in this episode, as well as developments in Fort Wayne, the emergence of the amateur jump to the pro ranks is becoming a more well-beaten path. Moving on to long ball number 3. It's the Fab Four of the weekend. We like to do this on a Friday, kind of shed some light on maybe some of the juicier or compelling matchups in the North American soccer calendar this weekend. And as you know, this is a interactive show and an interactive segment. So chat, definitely put in your selections. You will be in the 4th pick for our Fab Four picks of the week. So Mitch, our guest of honor, can you lead us off? What's the first pick in our Fab Four of the weekend?
First pick for me is actually not MLS. It is USL Championship, because tonight in prime time on national TV, ESPN2, Detroit City FC will take the stage at Keyworth Stadium They are hosting Pittsburgh Riverhounds. To be honest, Rob, it's been a rough stretch. As I'm looking at the results here, there is one win in a lot of games, and goal scoring has been an issue. The last time out, the reverse fixture in Pittsburgh on June the 7th was a 2-0 defeat to the Riverhounds. This is a team that Detroit City has maybe not a rivalry, but certainly some budding tensions in the early goings of, the two teams kind of coexisting in the same environment, if you will. So I'm expecting a high energy crowd. Obviously, we know that's what's going to be popping off at Keyworth at all times. And the fact that national TV is in town only going to increase that. I would say, that first goal is going to be hugely important, because taking a look at the run of form again, it's been a tough stretch for City. And, if that first goal goes in, vibes will be high, and I would expect them to carry that across the line to a victory. But if they fall victim to conceding first, it's going to be an uphill battle from there, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's definitely been tough trucking for DCFC. They scored a great goal in a losing effort at home the other night, and you could just hear the desperation for something to cheer for. I mean, you don't often get a roar like that when you're 2 or 3 goals down, but I think the appreciation for an exciting move, a good counterattack goal from DCFC, and haven't seen a whole lot of joy in front of the goal at all. So do you think they'll put on a show for the ESPN audience?
Yeah, I don't see why not. And Soccer Night in Detroit in the chat says it's a must win. I think, yeah, kind of sort of is. When you look at the table, they're falling behind and they need to start picking up some points. So we'll see what happens. Again, I think the Soccer Night in Detroit also notes 2 wins since April 19. That's just dreadful, to be honest. We got to start picking up some 3 points at a time. And yeah, national TV, hopefully get the boys going and turn things around here tonight. Still plenty of season left, but you're falling behind, and we know the quality that some of these other teams in the championship provide themselves. So big one at Keyworth tonight.
Indeed. Long ball number 2, or actually Fab 4 pick number 2, excuse me. Keep your picks coming in for the 4th pick of the segment, but I'm going to go with Red Bull versus Miami in a Major League Soccer pick, only because, as we highlighted earlier, Messi was stymied for the first time since May wearing the pink of Inter Miami. And you just don't feel like he's going to be held down off the score sheet for very long. Like, he had a couple shots that were saved midweek when he was shut out. And if we know anything about this player, it's whenever you think he's maybe going to get into a slump, he comes back and surpasses expectations once again. Red Bull, I believe they had a good result midweek. There were so many goals. Was there like 46 goals during the midweek matches? Yeah, Red Bull won a 5-3 barn burner midweek against New England. So plenty of goals in Red Bull. Did they spend all their goals? They're not usually the freest scoring team, but this is a Saturday 7:30 kickoff. And looking at the table, this is a 5th versus 8th place, so a playoff matchup in the Eastern Conference. Red Bulls will look to build on that midweek win, and Inter Miami, can they keep pace? They've got a lot of games in hand. They could well still be a first place team, but with kind of some 9 points potentially in their pocket, they look like they're behind. But in actuality, once they get all these games in hand played, they could be right in the mix at the top of the Eastern Conference. In lieu of producer Jenny, I think I'm going to take her pick. She tends to pick West Coast matchups, but it seems like it's the pick of the litter for matchups this weekend as far as top of the table standings, but San Diego versus Vancouver, two of the biggest surprises of the Major League Soccer season. No one saw Vancouver putting this sort of a campaign together. Even if they slide in the back half, the first half of the season, they were arguably the very best team in the league. And in San Diego, they are, we forget already, they are an expansion team. This is their first ever season as a club, and they are in first place in the Western Conference. Let me just try to slide over to the Western Conference, but Vancouver, they had an exciting midweek matchup as well. Let me pull up my Major League Soccer. So in the Western Conference, San Diego outright first place, a point ahead of Vancouver, a game ahead though. Vancouver, wow, they've scored 38 goals, while San Diego, offensive scoring juggernaut, the highest scoring team in the league, is an expansion team, Mitch.
And that's
San Diego with 46 goals for the good.
That was going to be my point, Rob, is they have led the way in terms of goal scoring, 2 more than Miami. And you're mentioning it here, you just would not expect that from an expansion team. Sometimes you never really know what you're going to get, right? It's that old box of chocolates, but I don't think anybody would have confidently predicted and staked their claim that San Diego would come out, lead the league in goals scored, and also be top of the table. So we'll see what happens here. It's going to be a huge clash. And anytime, the top two come together, it's that old 6-pointer. So could go a long way in determining those West Conference standings.
All right, so we have DCFC versus Pittsburgh, Red Bull versus Miami, San Diego versus Vancouver. Now it's time for the chat to have their say for the fourth pick of our Fab Four here on July 18th, 2025. There's a lot of shouts for DCFC in the chat. What else do we got in here? I don't know what this means, Mitch. El Clamico, what could that be? Do you know? Is that another dirty one for us, sir? El Clamico, what could that be? What's on CBS tomorrow at 4?
I'm going to have to wait for someone in the chat to elaborate because I'm not familiar with that nickname.
And I don't want it to be something derogatory here, and I wasn't sharp enough.
That's the beauty of live TV, right? You never know.
Oh, okay. So we had some clarification here. Thank you, both Soccer Night and Mr. Hunt. It is the Rhode Island versus Hartford. Two teams doing. I'm not sure how Hartford's doing. I do know that Rhode Island made the USL Championship final last year, in their first go. But Hartford, I'm glad I didn't say otherwise. Hartford having a bit of a mare of a season, sitting in dead last in the USL Championship East. So they might have a bit of a time. Oh, Rhode Island falling off. They're in 10th in the East versus Hartford. So bottom of the table affair is El Clamico on the East Coast in the USLC. So that rounds out the Fab Four for the weekend. DCFC versus Pittsburgh on Friday. Red Bulls versus Miami. San Diego versus Vancouver at the top of the West in the MLS. And then Rhode Island versus Hartford, battle for the minds in the northeast of the country. We are going to talk some NISA news and celebrities in sports or soccer ownership coming up in a second. But if you're watching this now and you haven't hit subscribe, do so now. Mitch, you're on the show. You're a subscriber, right?
Absolutely. Easiest decision I've made in a while, Rob. You got to support local soccer, and not only local soccer, but the local people covering it. So yes, absolutely. I'm subscribing.
You're subscribing. Wonderful. Hand on a Bible, I'm sure, sitting there on your desk over on the west side of Michigan. And if you haven't done so, hit that button. Take your support up a notch. $3.99 a month. You become a member of the Morning Kick Around channel. You become an MK Ultra. There you get priority commenting on the screen during these live shows. You get priority and access to the morning kick around Discord server. I'm loving the addition of the Discord. We get to have conversations after the show ends, from local summer soccer threads to MLS to USL chats, even to talking Premier League and the soccer world in general. Enjoying that. That's maybe worth the $3.99 a month all to itself. You can also support the show on coffee.com/morningkickaround. And there we have some targeted fundraising goals, including travel expenses to have an on-site, in-person morning kick around show. And then you can follow along on social media at mkickaround on X, Instagram, Blue Sky. And you can also find us as a podcast, Morning Kick Around, on your favorite audio platform. All right. I'm going to take a quick breath, have a slug of coffee, and come right back with American soccer being weird once again here on Morning Kick Around. Welcome in another episode of American Soccer Being Weird here on Morning Kick Around. And there was once a league called NISA, and then there wasn't, and then there was again, and then there wasn't again. And then now, just this week, branding revealed for a new iteration of NISA right there on the screen. That came out up there, and this is one more kind of breadcrumb in the slow burning reveal of the National Independent Soccer Association returning. And what was originally created in 2017 by Peter Wilt and Jack Cummins to create a independent soccer, I think second or third division, to feed into the NASL, which was still alive at that point, to be almost like a feeder league in a pro rel system with the NASL. But there's been turbulent times over the years. Kind of one of the biggest before they even hit the ground running. The originators, unfortunately, Peter Wilt's partner Jack Cummins suddenly passed away, and then Peter shortly thereafter moved on to Forward Madison and Chicago House. And so the originators, the concept of it, short-lived, but it eventually hit the field in 2019, and there's been some comings and goings of teams in this league. So I'll just kind of put up the kind of the timeline of the various teams that have come and gone from this league, and credit to the Wikipedians who have put this all together. Back in 2019, there was a handful of teams: Stumptown, San Diego 1904, Philadelphia Fury, Oakland Roots, Miami. So some of those teams have come and gone. Some of them, I don't even know if they made it through that first year. Detroit City FC, of course, spent a couple successful teams there. What do you remember of your actually, before we get to that, I talked about, so there's the new unveiling of this new look for the NISA logo, and we've had it told that there's going to be a new commissioner come on board next week, and then in the fall they're going to have a small tournament, and then they intend to they're planning to return to a full league schedule in 2026. So we'll kind of see what happens there, because as you can see, over the years the league shrunk and changed different forms, and it's taken on multiple different formats, and we shall see if it comes. A lot of folks weren't quite sure that they were ever coming back around, but as it stands, they plan to come back in fall. But I posed the question a moment ago. Detroit City FC, they were originally going to go to NASL. NASL folds, and they find their way in NISA back in 2020, mid-COVID. I think they played one game in NISA before the lockdown, I think.
Yeah, weird times. I remember the championship match at Keyworth DCFC came away with that victory. I actually have a medal for working for the club at that time. So vivid memories of that. But I think, that would probably be the highlight. It's been stop and start. It's been choppy, to be sure. It's hard to keep up with all the comings and goings. I'm very thankful for this graphic to kind of keep things organized. Shout out to the Wikipedians for sure. But yeah, you've seen like there is some name recognition in these clubs, but you just see kind of the turnover, and a lot of these clubs have gone on elsewhere and experienced more success. So it's hard to not kind of pin it on misorganization and just some weird decision making by NISA. I will say I like the new logo. I think it fits, right? It looks like the American flag, and will hopefully see kind of a new leaf for NISA to kind of change things up. And we'll see if this new brand identity really brings any tangible changes. You mentioned the difficulties getting things off the ground, and yeah, when you're two founding members kind of quickly are no longer involved, that can certainly bring complications, because you wonder how much they passed along to those who were working underneath them, and then those were the folks who actually kind of launched the thing. So I don't know. I'm hopeful, but not confident, I would say.
So the chat, the MK Ultras, kind of throwing some remember whens. So the peak of NISA was probably 2020 to 2022 or so, and there was a few notable moments there. So just to kind of touch on them without diving too deep, who remembers the weird hostage video with the NISA president? I remember people questioning whether that was real or AI, and that was pre big time AI. And NISA's still dead, no sanctioning yet. Yeah, the Lawrence Gerard pizza party. So probably one of the main themes of why there is the segment of American soccer being weird probably circles around this incident. We could probably have a segment unto its own right to kind of study the cultural and sporting implications of that night on Twitter. I don't know if there's a unifying moment like that where someone just like having a totally bizarre evening and goes off the deep end on Twitter. Would that even have the same impact now? Are enough people on one social media platform to have a moment like the Gerard pizza party?
That's true. Yeah, when you put it that way, it was kind of a moment in time, and not sure that it can be replicated. But I would say you're when we talk about American soccer being weird, nothing exemplifies, nothing embodies that more so than the NISA history and the story of its arc, if you will. I don't even know if you could call it an arc, just with all the ebbs and flows and ups and downs, but we see it happening in the chat right now. Like, it certainly provided some memorable moments and some entertainment, maybe more so off the pitch than on. But hey, again, I do, all jokes aside, I do want to applaud folks who are sincerely, genuinely trying to improve the state of soccer at a very grassroots level in this country, because I think that's an important, shouldn't be swept aside. We need to at least acknowledge that there are people with genuine intentions who are trying to better the game here in the States. And even if they've not made the best decisions at times, and some of the people who have been involved, we can maybe question not morality, but again, I think just decision making as a whole. It's been a jumbled mess, to be sure. But again, I would like to also acknowledge there are people that are sincerely trying to improve the game here. And if they can figure it out, it's going to only help things at a higher level as well. And we'll see some of these players kind of jumping up the levels. But that's where you get into, is it in their best interest? There's a lot involved here.
Yeah, the league, obviously, the founders stepping away early. You can't forget the brief period of NPSL Pro that was just before NISA that came and went very quickly because of, I think, some sort of a broader insurance issue. And then someone in the chat talked about immigration issues for the league. Yeah, NISA couldn't secure like the P1 or whatever the top visas are where you can bring a professional player in. Obviously, with current admin, who knows what visa statuses are like now, but they did have a lot of admin issues along the way, and that some things led to people not getting paid and issues like that. But there were some great moments, and yeah, it was called the Members Cup. That was some glorious days. And DCFC dominant. They were an absolute unit in that league. They went nearly undefeated. I remember that some of those playoff runs that they had in there were really entertaining. And then when the NISA final was, I think it's LA Force versus Detroit in Hamtramck, was a pretty entertaining affair. I think that was pretty lopsided, but we will have more first hand accounts next week, and it looks like we're going to have the new commissioner on the show next Wednesday to kind of talk about this new iteration of NISA, and to this, for a little bit of official reporting sake, I'll come from the press release that came earlier this week. NISA Pro Cup is planning to play in October. NISA has a handful of teams to experience that, and then in the fall, they intend to do that. But this logo, prominent representation of the league, people, and brand. New label is sturdy, stable, and smart. That's interesting. They put that in the press release of the description is sturdy, stable, and smart is how you didn't exactly describe the league processes as those things in the previous iteration. So apparently this logo's trying to bring in sturdiness, stability, and smart, and bringing in the old tradition with the new. And the borders open at the corners to represent the open system, signifying progression of leagues and clubs. The three red bars represent the third tier, NISA's established place in U.S. soccer. So with that in mind, potentially if this all falls through or works and happens and becomes a reality, and then the USL Pro rel in the first division. So if all these leagues are playing and remain stable, there will be 2 first divisions in America and 2 third divisions in American soccer. So just what we what the doctor ordered, and a perfect topic for the segment here we call American soccer is weird. So we will get more updates as they come on that. If you've tuned into this and you're not subscribed, do so now. Why the heck not? It doesn't cost you a darn thing. And we're on our way to 3,000. So that's an exciting number there. You can support with a couple casholas. $3.99 a month gets you a membership, an MK Ultra membership. And there you will have priority commenting on these live videos. You will have access to the Discord server. There's great conversations happening there from local summer league soccer conversations. Speaking of which, I think we're planning on having some Fort Wayne guests next week as well. They're making the jump from amateur to pro here shortly. And then, just MK Ultras, priority commenting on the show. You get access to the Discord server, and then you can also support on ko-fi.com/morningkickaround, where we have specific fundraiser goals there, including travel expenses to do a show together with myself, Jason Davis, on location somewhere exciting in American soccer. And you can find us on social media at mkickaround on X, Instagram, and Blue Sky, and find us as a podcast on your favorite audio platform. All right. We're going to take a breath and come right back with our final segment of the week. We're going to come right back with today's big question here on Morning Kick Around. Welcome back here on Morning Kick Around. It is Friday, July 18th. My name is Robert. He's Mitch. Jason Davis coming back next week. But for our final segment of the week, we learned this week that one Mr. Snoop Dogg is joining the ownership group for Swansea City. So one final swan song for old Snoop, it would seem. But leads me to the question, when will the celebrity soccer ownership fad finally jump the shark? Like, who would be the guy so zany and out of left field that it just ends it all?
Ooh,
I've left you
excellent
speechless. I put you on the spot, Mr. Gatsky, because I mean Snoop's pretty close, right?
Snoop is definitely close because I mean, as big a sports fan as he is, we see him kind of pop up. He's been at NHL All-Star games before. You wouldn't think that that's really something that he'd be too locked in on, but it does beg the question, how did he hear about Swansea City? How did he make the decision to get involved? It is kind of a continuation of a thread that we've seen play out over the last few years. Obviously, everybody's familiar with the Wrexham story, and I think that's kind of paved the way for others to give this a shout. And Snoop Dogg, just the latest example. I'm excited though. Like, why not? Why not just lean in, have some fun? Like, is he really going to be making football related decisions? Almost certainly not. Luka Modric also involved in this ownership group, so I would kind of expect him to be more so involved in day-to-day operations. Snoop just kind of feels like somebody who's putting some money up and he's going to generate a little buzz. He's definitely going to bring in some additional eyeballs that wouldn't have otherwise been locked in on Swansea City. But yeah, again, it kind of it makes you wonder why Swansea, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to think about though that celebrity who's going to finally be the last domino to fall before this fad kind of ceases to exist. I'll get back
We're
to you.
getting a couple good ones in the chat there, but Snoop's involvement is connected to the American businessmen that took over Swansea in the fall. Brett Crevette and Jason Cohen. Yeah, like you said, bringing in Luka Modric, and now Snoop D-O-double-G. You got to say he is close to the jump in the shark line. And to your point, it is fun. Snoop, one of the rare people that could be overexposed but hasn't played himself out just yet. Like, he is in just about every corner of entertainment, from he's doing stuff with Martha Stewart, he's involved in sports, he's still doing music. Like, he's borderline Shaq, where he can be just like almost everywhere at once. And I'm sure people have gotten tired of Shaq over the years, but more people than not have a positive view of these guys, and they are truly everywhere. In the chat, this one actually made me laugh inside my head. Maybe if Haktua Girl got involved in buying a soccer team, I think that could be a jumping the shark moment. Another one from Mr. Hunt: Trump getting involved, buying a team could do it. And Crispy Dewey, I like this one: Carrot Top. If Carrot Top bought,
I haven't heard of Carrot Top in ages. What's he up to? Maybe that is his next move.
Yeah, what would be the team that Carrot Top would be interested in? Like, would it be just a zany off the wall? Like, he can't just be like, "Oh, I'll be a minority shareholder in like Man City or something." This would have to be like Scunthorpe United or something like that, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a team. Obviously, that they have to wear orange, so I don't know. It's not a perfect fit, I guess. But the first one that comes to mind is like Newport County. Is that kind of orangey ish color?
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you. Speaking of which, it's funny that you said orange, because I was thinking Blackpool. Blackpool is a team that rocks orange like that, and they did have one season. Random note: That Blackpool year, I think it was like 2011 or so when they had the one season in the Premier League. That was pretty fun. They scored a lot of goals. They had a lot of like random English dudes that could just like rocket shot it, but terrible at defending and goalkeeping, I recall. But a fun one and done in Blackpool. A suggestion for a Carrot Top team, Dundee United. Are they a red team? I'm not as super sharp on my Scottish teams to think about that. But here's something that makes me think that Snoop is riding the line of jumping the shark for celebrity sports ownership. Is here's his quote on why Swansea. The story of the I don't know. I'm not going to attempt a Snoop voice. The story of the and the area really struck a chord with me. This is a proud working class city and club, an underdog that bites back, just like me. I'm proud to be part of Swansea City. I mean,
Okay.
you can buy
I
those.
don't dislike that. You know, at least he has a solid reason. It's not random. I doubt that he actually visited the area, but I'm excited for that first game where he is on location in the owner's box, kind of pumping up the crowd. I'm sure they'll bring him onto the field. But I also wonder, the supporters of Swansea City, they have to be at least vaguely familiar with Snoop's work, but is this something that excites them, or are they the type who, are they raised eyebrows? Are they suspicious? Do they like this? And that kind of goes to the overall trend. If you've watched any of Welcome to Wrexham, there was a high amount of skepticism of, what do these American folks, these celebrities know about football over here in Britain. And yeah, I am kind of I feel a little guilty, but I'm fascinated by how this is going to turn out, I have to say.
Well, a lot of this stems from the ownership group being able to do something like this in their press release. They are able to say this announcement comes as this is the next episode for Swansea City. And, they can just have pun addled press releases and everyone likes it because, everyone really likes Snoop. I'm going to add into the chat for Jumping the Shark. It is not news. The purchase isn't new, but it is the fact that there is a new documentary show coming out about Kelly Ripa and her husband. So I think she's like a morning. She used to be on the morning talk show, or she's still on the morning talk show, but it used to be Regis and Kelly, whatever the delineation of that show with Regis Philbin. But Kelly Ripa and her husband Mark Consuelos are co-owners of soccer team Campobasso FC, and they're coming out with a 4-part ESPN docuseries called Running with the Wolves. So a American daytime TV presenter owning a soccer team could be jumping the shark territory.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm a big fan of Kelly's work. I've seen the show, but I'm not a regular consumer of her content, and I have not heard of the club that she's now involved with. But hey, we'll see if the documentary kind of brings in a new audience. And that's the thing. Like, is this becoming templated where we're just going to keep repeating the same sort of moves that we've seen elsewhere? Hey, we're going to take over this lower level club across the pond. We're going to make a documentary series about it and try to bring in people that way rather than actual competition on the field. Again, I would be curious to see, to get the pulse of the actual supporters of the club that have been around and what they think about it. I would have to imagine they're not huge fans, but the other side of the token is, if it increases the profile, if it brings in a flood of cash and they can level themselves up, then it's one of those things. It's you never want to sell your soul, but you also want to see your club succeed. So it's tough to kind of reconcile those two things at the same time.
So some of the folks, celebrities owning soccer teams overseas, JJ Watt, one of the owners of Burnley. Michael B. Jordan, the actor, part owner in Bournemouth. LeBron directly or indirectly through Fenway Sports owning Liverpool. Of course, Tom Brady with Birmingham City. Reynolds and McElhenney at Wrexham. And then domestically, Will Ferrell and many other celebrities in LAFC, and Natalie Portman and Serena Williams, and many other female celebrities owning Angel City FC. And then in the morning kick around chat, we got Jack Harlow, which I didn't know, having a share in Louisville City.
Okay.
Some Bernardo believing that if we had pro rel celebrity investments would become more this side. And this speaks on our last segment and this segment, Soccer Night in Detroit. Thank you for this one. Kid Rock reviving Michigan Stars for NISA. And he hits the nail on the head here, as that would be pretty wild if Kid Rock got involved in soccer. And yes, he's from Romeo, which is half an hour north into the rolling flatlands of Romeo, which is where Mr. Rock is from. And we're getting some shouts here. Tim Weah has a stake in Brooklyn FC and Chris Richards in Birmingham. So there are quite a few ones, and those ones making a little bit more sense than the Kelly Rippers and the Snoop Dogs. But I mean, I guess in general, like you said, pique some curiosity, spark some conversation. And I mean, I guess while you wouldn't have necessarily paired Snoop Dogg with a Welsh team in the English soccer system, I mean, I guess that's more exciting than people abandoning their a fandom or American interest in soccer, I guess, right, if we're looking for silver linings.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. I agree with Bernardo that Pro Rel has kind of opened these celebrities' eyes to, hey, this is an investment opportunity to where we can scale this up and start to compound, that investment and really see some large returns. Bringing that to the States would kind of open those doors up as well, instead of the closed system. And I do want to say JJ Watt has really leaned into what he's doing with Burnley. And I think he's kind of maybe not the best example, but as far as I know, he's done a really good job of admitting, hey, I may not know soccer inside and out, but I've played sports at the highest level. I am willing to learn. And he has quickly gotten himself to a level where he can talk about the game. And he's also understanding that, hey, I'm going to leave the football to the football people and, just sort of help out where I can. Heard some interviews with him, and I think he is approaching it in the right way to be involved, but not overbearing.
Yeah. It's good to have the passion and impart the passion on the team without really getting into the weeds with the operations on the sporting side, I think. And there we go. We'll end the topic with one Mr. Snoop Dogg rocking the brand new Swansea City kit there. Thank you, everyone, for their contributions. Some great stuff in the chat today, as always. Thank you so much. I'm still going to have a chuckle probably for a while today about Kid Rock with some grand announcement at Romeo High School announcing the revival of the Michigan Stars. That would be quite the thing to add to the Michigan soccer or American soccer is weird conversation. But if you're watching this now and you haven't hit subscribe, be one of the nearly 3,000 folks who have done so already. It doesn't cost you a darn thing, helps us out tremendously. Did I tell you before I did this show, I was one of those who just watched things for years and never hit the button? Don't be like me. Hit the button. Doesn't cost you a thing and helps out the creators quite a bit. If you want to take your support up a notch, $3.99 a month, you become an MK Ultra. Get priority commenting on these live shows. You get access to the Discord server where the conversation continues, from a local summer soccer chat to MLS, USL Pro Rel, and even talking some Premier League and global stuff as well. Really enjoyed the addition of that. And you can also support on coffee.com/morningkickaround. There we have some specific fundraising goals outside of the YouTube hemisphere. And then follow along on social media at mkickaround on X, Instagram, and Blue Sky, trying to get as much of our content up there as possible, and appreciate those follows starting to add up on the social media platforms. Mitch, you've been so gracious with your time both today and on Wednesday. You do a couple of things yourself. You used to work for DCFC. You're now on the west side of the state, but you also do some writing yourself a little bit of there. Before we're done for the week, why don't you talk about some of the stuff you do?
Yeah, absolutely. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Great Gatsky, Gatzke. Appreciate you guys letting me step in for Jason here this week. Don't worry, I'm not around permanently. He will be back on Monday, so you won't have to put up with me any longer. Rob, really do appreciate the invite. And yeah, everybody tune into ESPN2 tonight. I won't plug myself, but I will plug DCFC on ESPN2. That's a big thing. And if you are not familiar with the atmosphere at Keyword Stadium, I promise you will come away impressed, because those guys bring it. And I can only imagine they're going to do so times 2 here on a Friday night in prime time on national TV. Thanks again, Rob. This has been a treat. And yeah, anytime Jason is on assignment, more than willing to offer up my services.
Well, thank you very much, Mitch. And thank you once again, viewer, and everyone who supports the program. We will be back live on Monday morning. But until then, everybody, enjoy your soccer.